Today we are cloning some muscadine grapes using a technique known as air layering, and this variety we're working on here is called Alachua Black. So I guess we'll start. So today we are doing air layers on some grapes. This is an Alachua Black. It's a pollinizer and also makes some grapes. You can see they're coming along over here. This is the beginning of August. It's probably a little bit later than we'd want to start this process, but we can't go back in time, so we're doing it now. I've just put an air layer on this cane over here, and I'm going to move down a little bit and put another one about here. Now grapes you can do that with because you don't have to cut the bark off. Grapes will just root into anything that seems good to root into. And so we're going to put I'm going to put 3 of them on this cane, and hopefully that'll get us 3 individual plants when we're done with this. The first step is where I'm going to put the air layer. I want to remove the leaves. The leaves are not going to help us with that, so I'm going to clip these all the way down where the stem collar is. I think I'll take this one too. And so this is where I'm going to put the air layer. The next step is I've got some sphagnum moss over here. We've already cleaned the sticks out of this and wet it. So I'm going to grab a big handful. This might be too big of a handful. So I'm going to grab this handful and wring out about as much water as I can get out of there. So now this is nice and damp and ready to go on. I'm going to try to get this to hang on to this branch while I go get the plastic wrap, which is the next part. So I'm going to kind of knead this onto here, try to get it to lock back into itself, and hope that'll hold on while I get the plastic. Plastic is the trickiest part. It's unpleasant material to work with. This is just regular plastic wrap from the grocery store. And it sticks to itself better than anything, which makes it real hard to get it to go where you want and not where you don't. So I've got it on there. I'm starting to wrap it around here. You want to make it tight. And the most important part is you want to make sure that the sphagnum does not stick out of the plastic. You have to wrap this, you have to tighten this down real well. I usually like to twist that up a little bit, leaving the end where I just was wrapping it with. And then I make a couple real tight wraps with that end, making sure there's no sphagnum on where I'm wrapping it. Because if there is, then water can go in and out here. The problem we've had mostly with this is if it's not real well wrapped, it'll rain and this stuff will flood and get too wet. And the roots cannot grow into a medium that's too wet. It needs to have some air in there. And so if it gets too wet, you won't grow any roots, and we just wasted our time. Sphagnum is the moss. This is dead dried sphagnum, probably harvested somewhere in Canada, I'm going to guess. We have sphagnum that grows around here, but not nearly as much of it. So I got that wrapped real tight over here, and then I'm sticking it back down. Doesn't stick that well because I don't have really enough of it to stick on there, but it's sticking enough, I hope, that once we get the foil wrapped on, it's not going to go anywhere. Stay down, come on. And we put the foil on to reflect the sun. Normally, if you wrap something in plastic and stick it out in the sun, it's going to cook, and we don't want this to cook. So foil will keep it cooler inside.
So I guess it reflects the sun.
Yeah. Now hopefully this will start growing some roots, and then when this vine goes dormant in the winter, we'll clip all these off and plant them.